Ladies and gentlemen, I just lost almost $4,000 and there's a breaking story in the gaming world that I need to tell you guys because I know a lot of you guys don't game and you guys are gonna miss out on this amazing tea gossip, okay? So, in this video, I'm gonna explain one of the most nerdiest aspects of my life to you, who I assume most of you guys don't usually fuck with this kind of stuff, but please, I beg you, give me a chance here because it's actually pretty interesting, okay? So bear with me here. But for you guys to actually understand the gravity of the situation that happened to me today and millions of other people, millions of other nerds out there, I need to give you guys some backstory, okay? So there's a part of my life that you guys don't know too much about. And it's my career as a professional degenerate gambler that started when I was around 13 to 14 years old. And that gambling addiction started with Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So listen, I was a regular 14-year-old gamer and my friend group had been big into World of Warcraft for many years already. But we were looking for something new, exciting, something more competitive to play, and we tried Call of Duty, GTA, and many other games, but all of a sudden we were all hooked on something called Counter-Strike Global Offensive, also known as CSGO or CS. Now, CS isn't any ordinary game. CS actually has a pretty dark other side to it that other games don't have, and I think that a lot of normal people don't know about, and that is skins. Yes, literally just cosmetic items for your weapons, basically to make them more colorful and fun to play with, right? And you can obtain these skins by opening loot crates or boxes. Now remember, CS is basically the grandfather of loot boxes in any other game. Literally any other game that you've played that has loot boxes pretty much took that idea from CS originally. Kinda low-key. So these loot boxes actually cost a lot of money to open. So CS is making money every time you open a case. It's very lucrative for them. But in addition to being able to sell them, you can also trade these skins to friends, other gamers, and you can also send these skins to gambling websites, CS dedicated gambling websites, and get a balance on that website, and then you can withdraw. If you win, you can withdraw skins again. At least back in the days, it was super lax and you could gamble however much you wanted at whatever age. It's a little bit harder nowadays, but it's still possible. And this is how I was able to gamble as a 14-year-old. I just used my own skins as balance on dedicated CSGO gambling sites, and Bob's your uncle, bro. So yeah, as I've said, I was 14 years old and I had made some money from odd summer jobs, my parents. I had a little gaming channel going on. I was making a little bit of money when I was 14-year-old. I was a little hustler, okay? And when you're 14, you don't really spend that much money. You go to McDonald's, you go to the grocery store, get some snacks, some Monster Energy drinks and whatnot. So I had a lot of money left over at the end of the week. So naturally, I spent it on CSGO cases. And over time of buying cases, buying skins, I started amassing a decent inventory of skins, pretty high value. I also did some trading, I traded items, and I ended up with a decently sized inventory. But as time went by, I started dabbling in these gambling websites and the gambling aspects of skins on CS. And I quickly became somewhat of a gambling addict myself, along with all my other 14-year-old friends. And we all basically just gambled all night, okay? As time went on, I had some massive losses, but I also had actually some major wins. And by the time I was 16, all my skins had reached a total value of 2.5k. Having 2.5k as a 16-year-old was a pretty big deal, and I was really lucky. Most of my friends didn't have anything. I was truly very lucky to come on top this gambling craze. And luckily, around the time of where my inventory was the biggest, luckily, I actually stopped playing the game slowly. And those $2,500 I had in skins, I just left there, and then year after year, it increased in value as the skin scene in CS got more popular. And the value of that inventory that I acquired when I was 16 actually grew to obscene amounts. But I'll come to that in a little bit. For now, I do have to give you guys some little technical details here. It'll be quick, but it might be a little bit boring. So bear with me. So this is how CSGO skins rarity are categorized. And remember, this is somewhat simplified. So if you play CS, you're going to be like, you're missing stuff. But I'm simplifying this for your average yo. So the first thing is that there's a couple different rarities. There's blue, there's purple, there's pink, and there's red. Blue is the most common and red is very rare. These colors are just different rarities from opening cases. You can see the exact percentages of how likely it is to get one of each rarity from your average case. As you can see, you're gonna get a blue almost every time. Now here comes the important part for later on in this video, and the main thing this situation is centered around. If you take 10 blue rarity weapon skins, you can then use something called a trading contract and make these 10 blues disappear and you get a new purple item. And then you can do the same with the purples. You can give them 10 and then those 10 gets deleted and you get a pink. Yo, editing love here. I realize I didn't explain this very well, but in short, you can take 10 weapons of the same rarity and upgrade it for one of the above rarity. So 10 blue will give you one purple. 10 purple will give you one pink. 10 pink will give you one red. The red is the roof and you can't trade up reds to anything else. That's basically it. Okay, so that's a trade up contract and that's going to be very important later on in this video. Now, something else that I do have to explain to you guys is that the top rarest skin in the game is knife skins. These are hyper rare skins that can only be obtained by landing on the rare special item when opening a case. And it's estimated by players that there's a 0.2 chance to get a knife in a single case. So of course, knife skins will be many, usually hundreds, if not thousands times more expensive than any other gun skin. So gun skins are worth less and the knife skins are worth usually 100 times more than any other gun skin. So to give you guys a little context, some more common knives are around $250, while some of the really rare patterns are up towards $100,000, even more, like genuinely real money, okay? So knives are very valuable. That's pretty much all you need to know. So with all that, it's clear that CS, Counter-Strike, isn't just your ordinary game, right? It has this whole secret side to it, and something that I find absolutely bonkers is that the total estimated values of all skins on the market right now is over 6 billion real dollars. That means that Counter-Strike is basically managing this $6 billion market without any regulations. It's pretty bonkers. And the most expensive skins out there are worth literally millions. These are the hyper rares of the hyper rares, are worth multiple millions of dollars. CSGO has almost made more kids millionaires than crypto. I think a lot of people don't know this insane magnitude of this market that is in this video game. So back to my story and how I'm involved in this massive situation. So back in 2017, my skins had reached the value of almost 3K. 2018, it jumped up to 4K and it just kept going up. And 2025 was an amazing year for the value of skins. It skyrocketed my inventory value up to almost $14,000 just by me holding the skins and them increasing in value. Skinflation, bro. Inflation, but with skins. It's crazy. It's by far been a better investment than the top 500 and all of that stuff. It's insane. So I always kept up with a lot of CSGO YouTubers to keep track of any updates, and I routinely checked on the value of my inventory probably a couple times a week. I was very in tune with the market. And the reason I never sold was because I felt a bit sentimental to these skins that I got when I was 14, even probably 13, 14, 15. All these items meant a lot to me. I did actually get very close to be forced to sell all of them when I moved to America, but luckily I didn't because I'm glad I kept them because they've increased a lot in value since then. So with all that being said, we have finally caught back up with current time. So what happened between now and 24 hours ago that made me lose over $3,000? Well, do you guys remember me telling you about the trading up thing where you get 10 of the blues and you trade it up to a purple and the blues get removed, and then you do that with the purples and that to the pings, and then 10 pings to a red, and then it stops there. You remember how it used to stop at the red? And the red was the top thing you could trade up to? Yeah, about that. So here's what happened last night. Valve, the creators of Counter-Strike, for some reason decided to drop a nuke on the entire CS skin scene, and it created literally mass hysteria in the community. They added a very small but extremely significant change to the way trade-up contracts works. And that change, ladies and gentlemen, is that you can now use 5 reds to trade up to a knife. Something that previously was so absurd that it was a April Fool's joke by one of the biggest old school CS YouTubers. So that means you can take a $5 to $20 red item and trade it up to a knife. So exactly what does this change mean? It might seem minor to you as a viewer, to a person who doesn't play Counter-Strike, but let me tell you about this, how crazy it is. Well, first of all, obviously, it's way easier to get a knife now. So now people are using the really cheap reds worth maybe $20 each to craft knives that before the update was between $1,000 all the way up to $10,000. And what does this mean for the values of the knife? Of course, because it's an open market and all this, the prices of knives just came crashing down. I've seen clips of people with just $80 craft a knife that was previously $20,000. It's absurd. It's absolutely annihilated the whole market, okay? So the aftermath of this tiny change is that the overall market dropped over 30%. Yes, you heard that right. The market value / market cap dropped over 30%. That is about $2 billion worth of value got eradicated in an instant. So how did this affect my specific inventory? Well, I owned this item right here. It's a Karambit Tiger Tooth Factory New, which was just 40 hours ago priced at $2,300. This very same item, as of recording this video, sold for $400. I should have sold. Oh my god. So just in that one item, I lost over $1,700, guys. It's insane. Luckily, I only owned one knife. Knives are the skins that were impacted the most for obvious reasons, because you can now acquire them easier and you no longer need to open them straight from a case with a 0.2% chance. You can now 100% guaranteed, with the help of 5 red items valued maybe at $100, get any knife. Now it's random, so it's still going to be hard to get some of the rare knives, rare pattern knives, but it's way easier now than before. So the rest of my inventory's value has slowly just faded away because of the uncertainty in the CS market right now, because people are unsure of what's going to happen next. What is Valve's next move? What's the next update going to be? Is this even a trustable place to store money now? It kind of seems like not. It kind of seems like people are losing faith in Valve or Counter-Strike to not just throw out any update, because it's clear that Valve didn't really mind doing this update, because here's the patch note and they hid this change deep in the patch note, hoping no one would notice it. Of course, everyone immediately noticed it and it was panic. And when I woke up today, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And yeah, that brings us to today. The total value of my inventory has gone down over $4,000 as of recording this video. And I think in layman terms, not literally, but in layman terms, I think we call this a rug pull. I don't know, I feel rug pulled. And yeah, that's the story of how I lost $4,000 in the matter of a couple hours without doing anything. And yeah, you know, I'm coping. I'm still telling myself I'm still up, because I started with like $2,000. I'm still up, and I'm hoping that the market is kind of going to stabilize and kind of go up a little bit more. But basically, if you see any clips or any talks about the CS market crash, now you're fully in tune with what's going on. And I hope I could shed some light on the situation for you guys who don't play CS. It's a wild ride. There is more to it, but that's basically it for a video by me. And in true degenerate gambler fashion, I did try to trade up some of the reds I just had laying around in my inventory to a knife, and here's how that went. Yeah, it didn't go too well. That knife is worth like 200 bucks. The reds I used was worth maybe 170 bucks. I made 30 bucks, but I did try to cash in, but yeah, it didn't really work out. But I have a Kukri vanilla knife now. Pretty sick. Anyways, guys, that's been it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy these little pre-recorded videos. I've been enjoying them a lot. I basically just write a script, I yap for an hour, and then we edit it down and we post it, okay? Thank you to everyone who's watching. Thank you to all my members. And shout out to everyone being so supportive on the YouTube channel lately. So if you're not subscribed, and if you did like this video, please feel free to subscribe and hit that like button. Anyhow, guys, Fika for life. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.